The Zohar that I wish to begin this lecture this evening, which I hope we ultimately will find, states clearly, and it is only through the Zohar that we have the ability to achieve an expanded awareness of what lies ahead tomorrow. Without the Zohar, there's absolutely no chance. With the Zohar, it also requires a little cleaning on the inside before we can understand the total magnitude of what the Zohar is trying to teach us. The Zohar states very specifically that the king of Persia, while today it's known as Iran, the king of Persia will ultimately rule over the entire world, and he will also beset himself upon Jerusalem, and he will conquer Jerusalem, and there will be countless numbers of victims. Countless numbers of victims. And only this evening, one of the people present here brings me a Wall Street Journal, page 1. Today, not yesterday, but today, which says, and a very long article, states that Iran is preparing for a new world order. Wall Street Journal, I didn't know they were in politics, but nevertheless, also indicating what the Zohar already revealed to us, that which took place 24 or 2,500 years ago in the then known Persia, Empire of Persia, that this scenario will again take place. However, the Zohar departs from the original story of Purim, where the Jews, and that meant the entire world, had a device. We know what that device is. When Mordechai returned from Jerusalem, he returned with the oral information of the Zohar. All of the information. And it was only through the information of the Zohar that the Jew could achieve the victory, which was without arms, without battle, but a total surrender on the part of the Dark Lord. Because Haman is not a person that once existed and no longer exists. Haman has been with us, specifically with the Jewish people, throughout the ages for the past 2,000 years. He is what we call, and what the Zohar refers to as Satan, whose main objective is to cause and wreak havoc and chaos on the entire world, not only the Jewish people. That also appeared this week. Also this week, the ugly head of what I consider to be the corrupt rabbis who are white outside, who appear to be white outside and are very dark inside. Because the color of skin does not determine whether one is evil or good. We found the Zohar, and I quote, in Parshat Shlach Lecha, Daf Samach Hey. And he's discussing here the aspect of Mashiach. Kloma, ma nishma mizeh le'inyan melech HaMashiach. He also brings the verse from Daniel, which I will begin quoting. Paris prisat malchutecha behivet lemadai uparas. As we all know, Daniel was a major player in the scene of Purim as well. Although his name is concealed, but he is known according to the Zohar and according to the Ari. The word Hatach, which appears in the Megillah, is really Daniel. And we also have learned in the seminar on Purim that Hatach is the word that we will be concentrating on this evening, which is the three letters of Kaf, He, Taf, which is the identical letters for the name of Daniel. And Daniel, incidentally, for those of you who are not familiar, Daniel, the book of Daniel, the major writings of Daniel, is written not in Hebrew, but rather in Aramaic, a language that is still presently spoken in Persia and the outlying sections, principally in the northeast of Iran. And on this verse in Daniel, he discusses what does this have, and if any, a connection with the coming of Mashiach. Amalo kachu vadai. It is absolutely so, because the destiny of Persia is locked up with the destiny of Mashiach. For in these words of Daniel, says the Zohar, we have a remez, we have a clue or a hint concerning what will take place in the time of Mashiach, meaning when he has actually arrived. Dahainu Mashiach ben Yosef will come, ve'achar kach yishlot melech Pras, and then the king of Persia shall rule, v'yichvosh harbe meluchot, he will conquer many, many kingdoms, v'hu yishlot al eretz hagdosha, and he will also rule over the Holy Land of Israel. 12 months, Yud Bet Chadash. And in the period of these 12 months, V'hu yishlot v'yarog rabim, and he will kill and destroy many, u'betocham Mashiach ben Yosef. This is the scenario. V'achakach, after wrecking all this chaos, not only throughout the world, but also in Israel, achakach yipol melech Paras. And only then will the king of Persia fall. That Wall Street Journal must have taken a clue from the Zohar, because it describes Iran in just that position. It is a determination of conquest of the entire world, and before the fall of Russia, and when Russia ruled, all of the Muslim-dominated regions, as it was then called, are now countries. and the beginning of Iran's domination, which, according to the cassette, is already upon us. However, there is one major difference that the Zohar, throughout its teachings, mentions. While the cassette, as the stars, compel, meaning that is the scenario, it does not impel, meaning the same scenario of a king of Persia who will create havoc throughout the world, including Israel, victims of untold numbers. That aspect can be changed. The king of Persia will rule over Israel, but with hopefully, and I don't mean hope in a sense like the rest of the Jews, like in the concentration camps or in the end times of the Inquisition in Mexico, Brazil, Spain, and almost half of the known world then, wherever Jews lived, who underwent the Inquisition, who always hoped and prayed, never with success, never with success. And today, those same rabbis, all over the world, have openly declared, and a good majority of them have openly declared war upon the Zohar. This sounds very strange, but that is also another Zohar, that the corrupt rabbis who will be part of the Erev Rav, and these are not my words, and I have not given one opinion this evening, will be in the forefront of the Satan to create bloodshed at the time of Mashiach. And I must tell you, that is another factor that has suddenly raised its ugly head in Toronto, Buenos Aires, only one day before the explosion. One day before the explosion. In Buenos Aires, and in South Africa, and in Toronto, and anywhere where the word of Zohar appears, there are rabbis who will openly condemn, without ever studied the Zohar, without ever having met any one member of the center, have, as a kangaroo court, condemned anyone who will study Zohar. My friends, this is where we're at. We can either listen to those corrupt rabbis and leave things carry and move on as it has for 2,000 years, where the Jew must ultimately suffer together with the rest of the world, or are we going to change it? And one very important scenario, which some of you are aware of, most of you are not. The two major players in Iran today have understood what Jews have yet not understood, that the power of the Zohar can bring peace without bloodshed. The two major players of Iran today will be participating in a meeting brought about by the Zohar. This is the message that I have been given to all the centers throughout the world. If we have any feelings for our future, there is only one course that we can take, and that is to be certain that the Zohar becomes the dominant force and immediately remove the corrupt rabbis who are acting as the Erev Rav to prevent the scenario with its bloodshed. As the Zohar says, if things take its normal course, as it has for 2,000 years of misery and chaos, so shall it be at the end. I feel it is a responsibility of everyone who is connected to some spirituality not to fear that maybe we are at present in the minority, bodies, maybe we have less, but the power that we do have is the only power that could stave off what the Zohar predicts for this world, and assuredly, it is beyond question that the Zohar is addressing our period this evening. And this evening, unfortunately, if 80% or 90% of the Jews who have come to hear the Megillah have made a worthless trip, because without the meditation, without the Megillat Esther, without the revelation of the concealed, that book of Esther is not a recorded history of the Jews in Iran. It is a secret coded message put together with express purposes of drawing down the light that I shortly shall explain, is ready to be revealed tonight, but unfortunately to a handful, maybe a few thousand all over the world. But I don't know what numbers are required. But destiny is in our hands alone. And if the Israeli government still believes in a corrupt dream that by retaliation we shall succeed, they have been making the same mistake that Jews have made for 2,000 years. Physical force has never changed the course of history. And if we can in any way bring a little light to the leaders of the state of Israel, that this battle is not to be waged by retaliation, but maybe by bringing somewhat of a little more light to the world.